Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome back to KRS TV. This is your boy Kenny, and this is a brand new episode of my show here on YouTube called Tea and Scandals. I'd like to thank you all for clicking on, and this episode is about the greatest boy group of all time, and I am talking about the Jackson 5. Later known as the Jacksons, they were pioneers and they paved the way for so many groups such as the Osmonds, New Edition, Five Star, Destiny's Child, and many others. And they were among the first black American performers to attain a crossover following such as the Supremes, the Four Tops, and the Temptations. The story of this pioneering group begins with their parents, Joe Jackson and the matriarch Catherine Scrooge Jackson, who married in 1949 and gave birth to 10 children. The first being Maureen Reby Jackson in 1950, Sigmund Jackie Jackson in 1951, Toriano Tito Jackson in 1953, Jermaine Jackson in 1954, LaToya Jackson in 1956, Marlo Jackson in 1957. He also had a twin brother named Brandon Jackson who died after he was born. Michael Jackson in 1958, Stephen Randy Jackson in 1961, and Janet Jackson in 1966. After Joe and Catherine were married, they set up a house at 2300 Jackson Street in Gary, Indiana in 1950. With a family to support, Joe Jackson left his dreams of being a professional boxer and began working at a steel mill as a full-time crane operator. Catherine worked part-time at Sears while being a homemaker for the family. Joe Jackson was a talented musician who started his own blues band, the Falcons, but they never got a recording deal and they disbanded soon after. In 1962, Joe discovered that Tito was playing his guitar when he realized that one of the strings was broke on his guitar. After he disciplined Tito, he tells him to show him what he knows. And Joe was blown away not only due to Tito's talent as a guitarist, but also the harmonies of Jermaine, Jackie, and Marlon. Michael wanted to be a part of the group, but Joe told him he was too little at the time. But Michael was determined to show his family and others that he had talent. The group was originally called the Jackson 4, but after Michael performed a solo at a school pageant, the group became the Jackson 5. Joe Jackson began to rehearse his sons daily, and he ruled with an iron rod. So if they missed a step or didn't get the note, they were physically disciplined. This really had a deep effect on Michael, who was a gentle soul. But he later states that Joe's tough discipline made them stronger performers, but the physical abuse really affected Michael deeply. Joe Jackson was raised the same way by his own father, and due to his living conditions, such as working at a steel mill where he faced racial discrimination on a daily basis from his white workers and foremen, and not making it as a musician, which was rooted in some of the jealousy he had towards Michael Jackson, and also having to support a large family deeply affected his ability to control his anger. And at times, the beatings were out of control due to his anger issues. But Joe was determined to get his family out of Gary, out of the steel mills, out of a life of crime and drug abuse, and most of all, poverty. In 1965, the Jackson 5 won a talent show at Roosevelt High School, and from then, Joe started to take the boys on the Chitlin circuit, performing in talent shows, clubs, and even strip joints, which exposed them to sexuality at an early age. This really affected young Marlon and Michael more so due to the fact that they were around the ages of 7 and 8 around the time. Their hard work eventually got them their first recording contract with Steeltown Records in 1967, where they made few recordings with the label. The song Big Boy became a local hit. But they really struck gold after winning 2 talent shows at Chicago's Regal Theater and Amateur Night at the Apollo Theater in New York. Gladys Knight was the first person who tried to convince Berry Gordy to sign the Jackson 5 to Motown Records. She sent in their demo tape, but it was denied. After performing a week-long run at the Chicago Regal Theater as an opening act of Bobby Taylor and the Vancouvers, and one of the members of the Vancouvers was Tommy Chung before he became a well-known comedian. Bobby Taylor arranged for the Jackson 5 to have an audition for Motown in Detroit, which was taped and sent to Berry Gordy, who was in Hollywood. He was hesitant at first due to him having issues with kid acts, and the kid that he had on the label at the time was Stevie Wonder, but he couldn't deny the raw talent that Michael possessed. Not only was he a dynamic vocalist, but that his moves and stage persona, were resonant of the greats such as Jackie Wilson, James Brown, and Sammy Davis Jr. They were signed to Motown on July 26, 1968. Their first single, I Want You Back, released in 1969, went #1 pop, #1 R&B, and #2 on the UK charts. And they made their first television appearance on the Hollywood Paddies, where they were presented by the Queen of Motown, Diana Ross, who had a close relationship to Michael and his brothers. So immediately, they were in pandemonium, and Jackson Mania was born, following with more hit singles, ABC, which went to #1 pop and #1 on the UK charts. And also, The Love You Save went to #1 pop and #1 R&B and #7 on the UK charts. I'll Be There went #1 pop, making them the first black male group to have 4 consecutive #1 pop hits. They even replaced the Supremes as Motown's best-selling group. They continued their success with singles such as Mama's Pearl, which went #2 pop and #2 R&B, Never Can Say Goodbye, a song written by Clifton Davis, who's known for his roles on the shows That's My Mama and Amen. That song went to #2 pop and #1 R&B, and the song will become a hit again with Gloria Gaynor in 1974, and it went #1 on the disco dance charts. And the song Sugar Daddy, which went #10 pop and #3 R&B, giving them a total of 7 top 10 singles within 2 years. And with Motown now entering into the world of television and movies, the Jackson 5 became Motown's main marketing focus due to their youth appeal, such as the J5 logo, features in magazines and posters, even their own Saturday morning cartoon. The black publication Right On, which was established in 1971, had the group, adorning covers between 1972 through 1974 and making Jermaine Jackson a teen idol, as well as appearing on television specials and even joining Bob Hope on the USO benefits concert to support the military during the Vietnam War. Motown launched Michael's solo career with songs Got to Be There, which went #4 on the pop charts and #4 on the R&B charts, and Ben, which was of the movie soundtrack Ben, went #1 on the pop charts, and the song was even nominated for an Academy Award for Best Original Song in 1973. This was the indicator that Michael could become a successful solo artist, but Joe Jackson was determined to keep the Jackson 5 together. By 1972, the Jackson 5 began to decline on the charts, mainly due to the fact that their earlier recordings were written and produced by the corporation, which consisted of Berry Gordy, Alfonso Mizell, Freddie Perrin, and Duke Richards, which the actual grouping production team had disbanded in 1973. Their next singles, Get It Together, went #23 on the pop charts, and Dance Machine went #2 pop and #1 R&B, their first top 10 hit in 3 years. And they received their second Grammy nomination for Dance Machine for Best R&B Performance by a Duo or Group. Their first Grammy nomination was for Best Pop Performance by a Duo or Group for ABC in 1971. And one of the key ingredients to the success of Dance Machine was Michael Jackson doing The Robot, a dance craze that was created by the dancers on the hit TV show Soul Train. And there will be another dance routine that will send Michael to the moon. I'll get into that one later. Their follow-up releases after Dance Machine were unsuccessful, and Joe Jackson was getting tired of Motown's uneasiness to produce hits for the Jackson 5, and he was also upset due to the conditions of their contract. So Joe Jackson produced a nightclub act with his sons and daughters, which started in Las Vegas and spread it throughout the states in 1973. And this is where Janet Jackson started doing her infamous Mae West routine. By 1975, Joe Jackson began negotiations with Epic Records, who offered not only a higher percentage in their royalties, but also that they can also write and produce their own records, something that they didn't have with Motown. All of the brothers agreed to sign with Epic Records except Jermaine Jackson, who was married to Hazel Gordy, Berry Gordy's daughter. But the true reason he stayed was because of his loyalty to Motown, and that Berry was his idol when it came down to business, writing, and producing. And Jermaine would become an executive at Motown and help launch the careers of Switch, as well as the pop princess Whitney Houston, and had success as a solo artist as well, earning a Grammy nomination for his 1980 album Let's Get Serious, along with other hits like Dynamite and Do What You Do and Don't Take It Personal. Due to their breach of contract, Motown sued the Jackson 5, and they could no longer use the name the Jackson 5, so they became the Jacksons. Their first album for CBS Epic Records, titled The Jacksons, it was produced by Philadelphia International Records, which was a subsidiary of CBS, and it was produced by the great production team Gamble and Huff. And the album also featured the songs Enjoy Yourself, which went number 6 on the pop charts and number 2 on the R&B charts, and Show You the Way to Go. I love that song. It went number 28 pop and number 6 on the R&B charts, and went number 1 on the UK charts, which was their first number 1 hit in the United Kingdom. And the album went gold. But their next album, Going Places, flopped. And after renegotiating their contract with Epic Records, giving them full creative control, they released their next album, Destiny, which had the best-selling Epic single to date with Shake Your Body Down to the Ground, written by Michael and Randy. It went number 7 pop and number 3 R&B. Another song from the album, which is one of my faves, Blame It on the Boogie, went number 54 on the pop charts and number 3 on the R&B charts. And the Destiny album re-established them as a top-selling group, and the album was certified platinum in 1978. That same year, Michael Jackson landed a role in The Wiz as the Scarecrow, along with Diana Ross, Nipsey Russell, and Ted Ross. And it was while filming The Wiz is when he met music genius Quincy Jones, who would produce his solo album Off the Wall, his first solo album under Epic Records. And as of 2018, Off the Wall is certified 8 times platinum, and it included the hits Don't Stop Till You Get Enough, that's my jam. It went number 1 pop and number 1 R&B, and he won his first Grammy for Best Male R&B Vocal Performance. Rock With You went number 1 pop and number 1 R&B. Off the Wall, the title song of the album, it went number 10 pop and number 5 R&B. She's Out of My Life went number 10 pop and number 4 on the adult contemporary charts and number 3 on the UK charts. Michael became the first solo artist to have 4 singles from the same album appear in the top 10. One of my favorite songs from this album is I Can't Help It. I mean, I love that track. In 1980, the Jacksons released their album Triumph. It was It was their first album to reach #1 on the Billboard R&B charts, and was certified platinum. Hits from this album includes Lovely One, which went #12 pop and #2 R&B. This Place Hotel, or Heartbreak Hotel, went #22 pop and #2 on the R&B charts. Can You Feel It? I used to love that music video, y'all. It went #77 pop and #30 R&B, and #6 in the UK and #2 in the Netherlands. And one of my favorite songs on the Triumph album is Walk Right Now. I still listen to that song to this day. It went #73 pop, but it reached #7 on the UK charts. After the release of Triumph, Michael started to focus more on his solo career, and the remaining Jacksons also worked on solo projects and continued to perform as the Jacksons without Michael. In 1982, Michael Jackson released his album Thriller, another production by Quincy Jones, and it will go on to be the best-selling album of all time. But before Thriller took off, in 1983, Michael decided to join his brothers to do the television program Motown 25, in which the Jacksons, along with Jermaine, performed together. But the show-stopping moment was when Michael performed Billie Jean, and he introduced another dance craze from the Soul Train gang called the Moonwalk. He learned the dance move from Soul Train alumni Jeff Daniels, who also was a part of the group Shalimar, and he appeared the Moonwalk on Tops of the Pops the year before. And this move became Michael's signature dance, and it became a pop phenomenon. Following their performance on Motown 25, the Jacksons, all 6 brothers included, decided to do another album together. They later released the album Victory in 1984, their biggest selling album to date. The singles, State of Shock, a duet with Mick Jagger, went #3 on the pop charts and #14 on the UK charts, and Torture went #17 pop and #12 on the R&B charts, as well as #9 on the dance charts. And they also embarked on a victory tour, which was overshadowed by various issues such as friction between the brothers and issues with the promotion and marketing team, which was headed by Don King, who was eventually fired. After their final performance at Dodger Stadium, Michael announced that he was leaving the group to focus on a solo career full time. 4 of the brothers, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and Randy, decided to continue the group, but with little fanfare, and they disbanded in 1989. Other Jackson family members also achieved success as well. Rebe Jackson, the eldest of the Jackson children, had a hit song, Centipede. I love that song. It went #24 on the pop charts and #4 on the R&B charts, and Michael Jackson wrote and produced the song in 1984. LaToya Jackson had a hit song, Heart Don't Lie, a duet with Howard Hewitt, which went #56 on the pop charts, and Musical Youth and Janet Jackson provided background vocals on the song. And she also faced controversy and scandal due to her Svengali husband / manager, Jack Gordon, who she divorced in 1997. And she is also a noted songwriter and producer. She wrote and produced the song Reggae Nights for reggae artist Jimmy Cliff, and she also wrote, produced, and arranged his album Cliffhanger, in which he won a Grammy for Best Reggae Album in 1986. And recently, she was the alien on the hit singing competition show The Masked Singer. The youngest of the family, Janet Jackson, has become a global icon after her groundbreaking television career in TV shows Good Times, Different Strokes, and Fame. She began to embark on a music career and became a pop phenomenon after her 3rd and 4th albums, Control and Rhythm Nation 1814, and is still breaking grounds as both a music artist and as an actress. And this year, 2019, she will be inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. The Jacksons were inducted into the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame in 1997 and the Vocal Group Hall of Fame in 1999. Michael, after leaving the Jacksons, became the king of pop with hit albums Thriller, Bad, Dangerous, History, and Invincible, and has inspired many artists, today, such as Usher, Chris Brown, Beyonce and Destiny's Child, and many others. Sadly, Michael paid a huge cost for his fame and notoriety after allegations of child sexual abuse were forced on him beginning in 1980, which began in 1993, which the first case was settled out of court, and again in 2005 when he was arrested and was put on trial in court, and he was acquitted of all charges, and his family was at his side the entire time. And after 17 years since their last performance, the Jacksons appeared together at Michael's 30th anniversary special at Madison Square Gardens, which was a great moment to see them together again. In 2009, Jackie, Tito, Jermaine, and Marlon started working on a reality show and were working to reunite the Jacksons, while Michael launched his This Is It tour, which was supposed to start July 13, 2009 in London. Sadly, Michael Jackson died on June 25, 2009 due to an overdose of propofol and benzodiazepine. And his personal physician, Conrad Murray, was charged with involuntary manslaughter, and his death was ruled a homicide. The entire world mourned the loss of the greatest entertainer of all time, and the Jackson family shared their grief of their loved one at a public funeral which was held at the Staples Center in Los Angeles on July 7, 2009. And Michael's last song, This Is It, was completed with his brother singing background on the track. And on June 27, 2018, the patriarch of the Jackson family, Joe Jackson, died after a long battle with pancreatic cancer. And the tea and scandals of the Jackson family is that even though they faced a lot of, heartache, tragedy, the Jacksons are true pioneers and inspirations that if you dare to dream and work hard, anything is possible. So that's what I have, everybody. If I missed anything, get down in those comments. Share some of your thoughts about the Jacksons, and even share some of your favorite songs. I'd love to hear your thoughts on this episode. So subscribe to my channel. Click that bell so you get notifications every time I drop a video. Also, follow me on all of my social platforms. I have them listed in the description box. Also, like this video, comment on this video, and share this video. And I will be back with another episode of Tea and Scandals. So until next time, everybody, take care.